The vassal state sent beast folk as tribute. Hearing they became fiercely loyal when tamed, father permitted my royal sister and I to each choose one as a guard. I picked the most docile-looking rabbit and doted on him excessively, but while playing obedient to my face, he secretly conspired with my sister to seize my military authority, leaving me torn apart by tigers with no corpse left whole. Little did I know, when I opened my eyes again, I'd return to the day of choosing beast men. Ignoring the damp, pleading-eyed rabbit, I smirked coldly. Beast men are unruly, too prone to backfire, better to slaughter them all. Then suddenly, I could hear the beastman's inner thoughts. With my mighty frame and silky fur, surely she'll pick me. Ah, she's looking this way, must be dazzled by my magnificent physique. What excellent taste. Among all these orcs, none could stand against me. With her choosing me, she'll want for nothing. That look in her eyes, could it be love? Humans may be fragile creatures, but for her, I'd make an exception. The white wolf held its head high, stealing glance after glance at me, its fur drenched in crimson. My lips twitched as my words came out in an awkward detour. Orcs are too unruly. I choose the white wolf. The white wolf suddenly tucked its head away. Grr, I'll make sure to serve her well tonight. The moment I opened my eyes and took in the scene within the hall, dizziness overwhelmed me. It wasn't until father called out to me in a booming voice, pointing with haughty pride at the numerous iron cages filling the hall, Alicia, Serafina, these are the beast men sent by the taming kingdom, pure-blooded, fierce warriors, each capable of taking on 100 foes. Once tamed, they become utterly devoted to their masters, perfect candidates for personal guards. Come, sisters, take your pick, any catch your eye. I snapped out of my daze. My gaze wandered instinctively across the hall before settling on a docile, well-behaved youth. His fair, delicate complexion stirred protective instincts. The boy froze when our eyes met. He sprang to his feet and rushed to the cage bars, gripping the iron rails with pleading, puppy-dog eyes. Will you choose me? In my past life, I did choose him, the rabbit man Kale. Too, I am the Grand Princess of Dajin, commander of mighty armies, clad in armor. I've campaigned across the realm, winning glorious victories for our empire. The Beastmaster Kingdom once dared to rebel, relying on their beast-taming arts, until I crushed their defiance. I've witnessed berserk beast men on the battlefield turn on their own masters, devouring them in mindless frenzy. That's why I don't believe in their so-called Orcish loyalty. I would never entrust my life to another's hands, yet unable to refuse my father's earnest paternal love, I chose the seemingly most docile and harmless Kale. He had a frail physique and a timid disposition. Even when I merely raised my voice slightly, he'd pout with a face full of hurt. Master, you're so scary, I'm frightened. Facing those teary, timid eyes of his, even my stone-cold heart would melt. I never intended him to be a guard, obedient and sensible. He never caused trouble, so I kept him as a pet without hesitation. Whenever I'm upset, I'd hold him close and stroke his fur gently. He always had this calming effect on me. Over time, he became indispensable. I doted on him more and more, indulging his every whim, yet he betrayed me. He seized the moment when I was wounded and vulnerable, stole my military seal, conspired with Serafina to divert all my guards, leaving me to be torn apart by her frenzied beast men. Not even a whole corpse remained. The memory of being devoured alive sent shivers down my spine, unleashing an uncontrollable surge of murderous intent. Just as I was about to crush Kale's skull in my rage, a cold, haughty voice suddenly cut through the air. She's terrifyingly strong. 3. Who's speaking? My imposing aura faltered as the killing intent instantly dissipated. Only then did I realize the beast men had reverted to their true forms, naturally attuned to violence and peril. They'd instinctively shifted into their most powerful bestial states when provoked by my bloodlust. They paced their cages with savage restlessness, occasionally howling at the sky while attempting to rend the bars with fangs, appearing more untamable than ever. All but one, Kale. He hadn't fully transformed into a rabbit. Only his long ears showed as he huddled by the cage, staring at me with wide, glistening eyes. Master, I'm scared. I froze in surprise. Her gaze instantly took on a curious glint as she studied him. Suddenly, Serafina's coquettish protest rang out beside them. Elder sister, His Majesty asked you to choose a beastkin. Not scare them into revealing their true forms, but have you made your choice, sister? This rabbit perhaps? She looked utterly delighted, covering her mouth with a tinkling laugh. So delicate and docile, perfect for our elder sister indeed. Then I shall choose too, that tiger there. What a magnificent beast. she declared with such certainty, as if the matter were already settled. Kale was staring at me with an excited expression. But, when did I ever say I'd choose him? I smirked coldly, turned to face the Emperor, and bowed respectfully. Father, these orcs are unruly, their savage nature cannot be tamed, they'll turn on us eventually, we should execute them all to demonstrate the Empire's might. That's what I meant to say, but then that voice suddenly returned. Time to choose. Will she pick me? Wait, is that an orc speaking? I discreetly scanned the room and realized nobody else seemed to hear these words except me, with my majestic build and silky fur. Surely she'll choose me. Ah, she's looking this way, must be captivated by my impressive physique. What excellent taste. Among all these orcs, none could rival Vance in battle. With me, she'll want for nothing. White wolf. My searching gaze finally settled on the snow wolf in the corner. With head held high, it paced slowly in its cage like a monarch surveying its domain, regal in bearing and majestic in stature, yet its jaws remained shut, voiceless. Then what I heard was its thoughts. I'm a bit suspicious, huh? Why is she looking at me like that? Could she be in love with me? Wants to have my wolf pups? Humans may be fragile creatures, but with her, I wouldn't say no. The moment our eyes met, his snow-white fur flushed crimson. Oh whoa, having wolf pups, how embarrassing. My lips twitched involuntarily, yet the words that left my mouth took an awkward turn. Beast men are unruly. I choose the white wolf. The white wolf's ears perked up before it suddenly ducked its head. Oh whoa. Knew it'd be me. What's next? The wedding night. Its fluffy tail started wagging furiously behind it. Oh whoa, I'll make sure to pamper her properly tonight. I stumbled unsteadily, nearly face-planted right there. For, you're choosing him. How could you possibly choose him? Seraphina and Kale spoke in unison. Seraphina looked shocked. Sister, you can't be serious. Kale turned pale. No, impossible. You should have chosen me instead. You've always been proud and distrustful by nature. With your fear of orcs turning against you, how could you possibly pick the wolf? You should have chosen someone harmless like me. So he's reborn too? Harmless, you say? Is he just flattering himself or does he have some serious misconceptions? I smirked coldly. Father, this rabbit is disloyal and disobedient. It's useless to keep it. Better feed it to my wolves. The Emperor looked troubled. These are all high-ranking beast folk, rare in number and immensely valuable. The white wolf released from its cage by the guards harbored no such reservations. It immediately bared its fangs and roared at Kale. Terrified, Kale shrank into a gray-furred rabbit with crimson eyes, cowering at the center of the cage. The wolf couldn't reach him, left to pace circles around the enclosure. A damn female rabbit dares to steal prey from this wolf lord. Got a death wish? Female. Is Kale actually cross-dressing as male? Seeing my suspicion, Kale's gray fur literally turned black with rage. He shakily rose to his feet, slapping his belly with both front paws as if declaring, I'm male. The white wolf's expression grew even more disdainful. So puny. What's the difference from a female? As he spoke, he deliberately shook his leg and strutted in circles to flaunt his extraordinary presence. With just a glance, Kale froze in place before silently collapsing to the ground, looking utterly devastated. Clearly hit hard. The other beast folk who peeked this way either stared at the sky or pretended to sleep, unanimously averting their eyes in silence. Even the tiger freshly led to Seraphina's side subtly clenched its legs tighter. I couldn't help but chuckle. Turns out whether human or beast, males just can't help comparing themselves in this regard. The white wolf looked ridiculously smug, strutting over to me. He rubbed his big furry head against me like an overgrown puppy. See, none of them measure up to me. My gaze involuntarily drifted over. Ahem, saw that? Truly one of a kind, a rare gift from heaven. I suddenly flushed crimson. I tried to sneak my gaze away, but the white wolf caught me red-handed. The massive wolf's head loomed dangerously close, its eyes brimming with mischief and triumph. My cheeks burned fiercely. I turned my head away with visible discomfort. How dare you behave like this in broad daylight? Have you no shame? The white wolf couldn't comprehend such complex words, yet remained acutely sensitive to emotional cues. He tilted his head at me, eyes brimming with confusion. Does she not like it? Me? Why the hell would I be into a wolf's junk? I chose a bodyguard, not a mate. The white wolf lowered its gaze, visibly crestfallen, yet perked up almost instantly. No worries, familiarity breeds affection. Me, no. Why's this damn wolf always got his mind in the gutter? 5. Burning with shame, I glared at the white wolf. To others, it appeared as utter contempt toward him. After all, No one else could hear his inner voice but me. They only caught those two remarks of mine, and their minds began to wander. Serafina signaled the tiger to crouch, mounted its back, and circled around me. Sister, are you truly choosing this wolf? His manners are crude, more like a wild beast than a civilized beast man. Having him as your personal guard would tarnish your dignity. The flush faded from my cheeks as I watched her with a knowing smirk. Oh, then which one do you think I should choose? Serafina straightened her back and patted the tiger beneath her. A tiger like mine would suit you well, fierce yet obedient. But elder sister is different from me. With her peerless martial skills and command of the Imperial Guards, she hardly needs such additions. If I may suggest, dear sister, why not choose someone sweet and agreeable? They'd make delightful company during your leisure hours. After all that talk, she finally revealed her true intentions, scanning the entire hull. The only beast folk docile enough to be kept as a pet was Kale. Her relentless recommendation only confirmed my suspicion. Kale had been her agent from the very beginning. But these orcs were just delivered. They've had no prior contact. That leaves only one possibility. My blood runs cold, yet I can't deny the truth. Serafina and the Beastmaster Kingdom must be colluding. What about Kale? I gazed at him with inscrutable eyes. Just who is this master he'd betray me to follow? 6. Kale mistook my hesitation for agreement. He pulled himself together and swiftly took human form. Propping himself up with trembling hands, he gazed at me with pitiful eyes. They're all so scary. I'm frightened. Could you take me away? His utterly helpless, fragile demeanor was remarkably effective at stirring protective instincts. I initially saw it as a joke, but then a sudden tenderness welled up in my heart. The murderous intent I'd felt moments ago inexplicably melted into pity. I knew something was wrong, yet couldn't suppress the overwhelming urge to say yes. Just as my heart burned with turmoil, the white wolf abruptly stepped between us, seizing the chance to catch my breath. I stepped back as instructed, yet I saw clearly how the white wolf's movements turned sluggish the moment it faced Kale. Kale was panting heavily, his eyes blazing with crimson light. Get lost, you want me to leave? Who the hell do you think you are? The white wolf's fur bristled as it threw back its head and let out a thunderous roar. The roar seemed to have devastating effects on the orcs. Kale was the first to fall, collapsing instantly as blood trickled from the corners of his lips and eyes. Serafina followed suit when the tiger beneath her faltered, sending her tumbling to the ground. The other beastmen further away recoiled in retreat, their spirits visibly broken, and so the white wolf stood amidst the stunned gazes of all present. Step by step, I approached Kale and looked down at him with cold dominance. She's already chosen me, yet you still dare try to bewitch her into changing her mind. Do you think I'm dead? Or do you truly believe I wouldn't devour you? Bewitch? Since when did Kale possess such abilities? In my past life, I chose him willingly. He never revealed his true nature, yet I, someone inherently distrustful, placed such faith in him. Looking back, that does seem rather unusual. Could his subtle influence over me have played a part in this? As I pondered, the white wolf rested its razor-sharp claws upon the iron chains. Before my eyes, the chains shattered link by link. The hall's atmosphere instantly became charged with tension. The guards swiftly drew their weapons and assumed defensive positions. Just as the situation reached its breaking point, my father gently patted my shoulder. Alicia, make him stand down immediately. Beast folk are precious. Your father intends to gift one to each of your siblings. We can't afford to lose any here. His words made it clear the Emperor wouldn't tolerate further harm to the beast folk today. I immediately restrained the white wolf. Kale gasped for breath, his face deathly pale after the narrow escape. Those bloodshot eyes fixed on me burned with sheer resentment. But what exactly was he resentful about? That he failed to kill me one more time? With a cold smirk, I leaned closer and whispered, Kale, don't even dream about it. I'd never choose you again. Kale froze, his eyes widening in shock. You, paying no heed to his reaction. I turned to leave with the white wolf. Then I saw Serafina gritting her teeth as she kicked the tiger beside her. Useless, caught red-handed, she swiftly masked her resentment with a crimson smirk. Elder sister, your wolf is truly formidable. Even this mountain's sovereign pales in comparison. Though framed as praise, I detected gnashed teeth beneath her words. Staring at the tiger's forehead marked with king, contemplation dawned upon me, stroking my white wolf's sleek fur. I chuckled lightly, perhaps, like master, like beast. Serafina's smile froze mid-curve, watching the undisguised envy in her eyes. I lowered my gaze with a cold smirk. That's all it takes to break you. Pathetic. 7. I remained on high alert. After all, this white wolf is frighteningly powerful, if I remember correctly. In his past life he was deemed too weak to be chosen by anyone, and ended up being given to the 13th Prince Nico. Nico's birth mother was a low-ranking palace maid doing laundry work, who accidentally caught the emperor's favor and bore a prince, unfavored by the emperor. The mother and son lived in a remote, neglected palace quarter, often bullied by other maids and eunuchs. I helped him when we were children, and he would always sweetly call me sister whenever we met. Later, when I followed my grandfather to the frontier and could no longer protect him, I left him a sword manual for self-defense. Seems he never practiced it. Otherwise he wouldn't have been framed and nearly killed. I remember White Wolf killed someone to save him, earning a death sentence, but Nico secretly let him escape and took 30 lashes for it. Their bond of entrusting their lives to each other truly moved me. What's more, being able to hear White Wolf's inner thoughts eliminated any fear of betrayal. That's why I went along with his choice, but that doesn't mean I can trust him. Especially considering how he deliberately concealed his true strength in our past life. Who knows what he's after? I shot him a sidelong glance and feigned praise. For a fellow beast man, you're certainly more impressive than the rest. The white wolf flicked his tail with obvious smugness. Naturally, as a born beast man, I'm inherently the king of all creatures. A born beast man. Are there actually orcs who aren't born that way? Remembering how the orcs sent during the war with Beast Tamer Kingdom behaved like mindless killing beasts, I felt like I'd grasped something important. Just as I was about to press for details, I heard the white wolf exhale slightly in relief. That was too close for comfort. Good thing I reacted fast, or that damn rabbit would have snatched her away. As expected, only the strongest can claim a mate, but I'm already plenty big. Why doesn't she like me? Could it still not be enough? TSK. Petite frame, sky-high standards. Looks like I'll have to keep working harder, but I wonder if she can handle it. Me, where's your strength? Did you eat all your strength or what? 8. A suspicious blush spread across the white wolf's face. The more I looked, the creepier it seemed, so I kicked out in disgust. The white wolf instinctively lunged forward, failing to notice a palace maid rounding the corner. I urgently called him off, but still startled the poor girl. Considering the distance back to my chambers, I ordered the white wolf to take human form. I hadn't seen his face inside the hall, but this first glimpse took my breath away. His bright eyes and elegant brows moved with the grace of a soaring dragon, yet those deep sapphire eyes and silver hair felt hauntingly familiar. My heart skipped a beat, struck by sheer disbelief. Vance, puzzled but cautious. Vance drew closer and nuzzled his head affectionately against my shoulder. Woof. A wave of dizziness washed over me. In his past life, Kale suddenly collapsed. I posted notices everywhere seeking renowned physicians, only to learn his heart was failing from excessive worry. The master physician said his heart condition had grown so severe it clouded his mind, and bade me find spirit-clearing herb as the primary remedy. The spirit-clearing herb grew atop snow-capped peaks. To retrieve it, I risked scaling a towering mountain, yet at the summit, I encountered Vance. He stood atop the cliff, facing the howling wind. His figure was elegant, with piercing eyes and sharp features. The sight of his silver hair dancing in the wind made my heart skip a beat. I parted my lips, wanting to ask who he was. He darted toward me like lightning, trying to snatch the herbs from my back. In that case, we'll settle this with our fists first. He seemed injured, his movements sluggish and uncoordinated. In the end, I emerged victorious. He pressed his lips together without a word. Preparing to drag his gravely wounded body away, I stopped him and handed over one stalk of the spirit-soothing herb. He froze momentarily, disbelief flashing across his face. For me, the deep, husky voice sent a warm tingle through my ears. I nodded awkwardly. He took it with flustered hesitation, cheeks flushed and lashes fluttering. This is a life-saving favor. His pale, handsome face suddenly flushed crimson as he leaned in nervously to sniff me. I am Vance. Wait for me, I'll come back for you. All right then, I'll be waiting, I replied with a smile, but I broke that promise. On my way back to the capital with medicinal herbs, I was ambushed and wounded by a group of orcs. Upon returning, I was betrayed by Kale and met a gruesome end. Thus our promise from the past life remained unfulfilled. So now he's come searching for me in this lifetime. I felt a lump in my throat, but then I saw Vance guiltily turn his head away. Sniff, Alicia smells so good. Asterisk, I really want to secretly mark her. She wouldn't notice, right? Asterisk, me. He lifted his head stealthily, baring sharp fangs to nuzzle against the nape of my neck. It tickled, and left a sticky sensation. I shuddered violently and flung him away. 9. After returning to the bedchamber, I arranged supper and accommodations for Vance. He thoroughly enjoyed the evening meal, but the lodging arrangements left him quite displeased. This is too distant, a personal guard should stay close at hand. He spoke with righteous indignation. Had I not overheard his sneaky plan to crawl into bed, I might have actually fallen for his nonsense, but I did hear it, so I promptly shut the door in his face. Back to your room, good night. I thought he was a mature orc who'd leave quietly when I kept ignoring the door, yet even past midnight, his intrusive thoughts kept creeping into my mind. Alicia must be asleep by now. If I sneak in through the window, she'll never notice. Silently, I got up and latched the window tight. The window won't budge. Maybe I should try entering through the roof. I spaced out for a moment. How could anyone secure such a vast rooftop? No, it's going to rain tonight. If I damage the roof, Alicia will get soaked. She'd be furious. I need to make a good impression. Can't let her think I'm uncouth again. I really miss seeing her so much. Oh whoa. I tossed and turned in bed. He kept muttering outside the door. I knew I wouldn't get any sleep unless I let him in, so I opened the door and yanked him inside. Then I tossed a blanket onto the floor by the bed for him. I snapped, "Go to sleep, and don't get any ideas." Vance gave a faint, obedient nod. Sleep tight. I'll keep watch. He's literally the last person who should be giving reassurance. Turn into a wolf and sleep. Obediently shifting into his wolf form, he curled up on the floor right beside the bed. But unexpectedly, the nagging voice stopped. In its place came the rhythmic pounding of a heartbeat. Now light, now heavy, now fast, now slow, so damn loud, I grumbled, yanking the covers over my head. In my drowsy state, I felt uncomfortably warm. When I opened my eyes, I was shocked to find myself curled up in Vance's arms. He had shifted back to human form, pressing against me so intimately that my face immediately flushed crimson. I tried to wriggle free, but he only groaned softly, rolling over to pin me beneath him with unconscious movements. The breathing by my ear grew increasingly ragged. His lips and tongue trailed across my face, sending shivers down my spine. "Vance, don't." I tried to stop him, but my voice came out hoarse and thick. He froze for a moment, his eyes glazed over as he stared at me. This reaction seemed purely instinctive. Is this mating season? There's no stopping it. But he hurt me, gritting my teeth. I chopped the back of his neck with a knife hand strike. 10. In the following days, I was swamped with official duties by day and locked in battles of wits with Vance by night. I closely observed his behavior, just like a wolf in heat, but as far as I know, wolves typically go into rut between December and February. How come he's still in heat at the end of March? Sensing something was off, I decided to take him out of the palace to see the renowned healer Isolde. Little did I expect to run into Serafina in the Imperial Gardens. She was training the tiger by hanging large chunks of raw meat high up in a tree. "Zane, climb up there and the meat's yours." Though tigers can climb trees, the one Serafina chose was slender and towering with smooth bark. Zane's muscular frame found no foothold. After several failed attempts, he grew increasingly frustrated. Serafina scowled, cracking her whip impatiently. "Useless, can't you shape-shift and climb up there?" At this remark, I arched an eyebrow. The other day when my kite got stuck in the tree, I was about to retrieve it myself when Vance insisted on doing it for me. "Wolves can't climb trees, but werewolves can." With just a few agile leaps, he retrieved the kite and came bounding back to show off his prize. I suppose Serafina must have seen it. That sounds just like her. We were twin sisters, both born to the Empress, and had been constantly compared since childhood. After our mother's passing, she was raised by the Empress Dowager, while I was sent to live with my grandfather who had lost his only daughter. She mastered the arts, excelling in music, chess, calligraphy, painting, poetry, and song. I trained in martial arts, proficient in swordsmanship, archery, horsemanship, and every form of combat. Busybodies often whisper in my ear, "Your sister excels in everything while you only know how to wield weapons. Aren't you afraid of being overshadowed?" I fear no comparison. We're family, and our strengths belong to the same house. Yet Serafina seems threatened, her hostility toward me growing fiercer, especially after I returned to the capital, battle-hardened and decorated with honors from years of campaigning alongside my grandfather. I know why. Before my return, she was the sole heir to the throne, but since I came back, her legendary brilliance faded into obscurity. Now everyone praises my heroic deeds. saying I embody our founding ancestors' legacy. She believes I stole what was rightfully hers, she resents me and refuses to be beneath me, so she's determined to outdo me at every turn, even the orcs. She's hellbent on forging them into the mightiest warriors, yet she fails to grasp that extremes beget their opposites. Lashed by the whip, Zane's pain shattered his restraint. His feral roar erupted at Seraphina. Seraphina flinched in fright, then flushed with humiliated rage. How dare you raise your voice at me? She was chasing after Zane to scold him when she spotted me preparing to leave with Vance. Seraphina froze momentarily, smoothed her appearance, then forced a smile as she stepped into my path. Where are you heading, elder sister? I couldn't possibly tell her the truth, so I made an excuse about Vance feeling cooped up in the palace and needing some fresh air. Seraphina wasn't buying it. He's just a beast man. Why would you dote on him so? Sister, after all, he's the sworn guardian of my life. Of course I'd dote on him. Seraphina's face flushed alternately pale and crimson. Are you implying I've been too harsh on Zane, sister? But I cut off her explanation. How could I? That's your orc. I wouldn't presume to take over your duties. The pointed sarcasm froze Seraphina in her tracks. After walking some distance, Vance suddenly leaned in close to me. Alicia, I'll protect you. But how do you plan to spoil me? Since when do wolves negotiate terms? I gave him a sidelong glance with a faint, ambiguous smile. It's a surprise. You'll find out soon enough. 11. This is the surprise. Vance's eyes went wide, knees trembling. I couldn't help but chuckle and nodded with exaggerated seriousness. Vance's face went pale as his brows knitted tightly together. It must be because I went too far last night. Alicia probably couldn't take it anymore and brought me here. If only I'd known to tone it down earlier. Last night he climbed into bed and pinned me down until I was weak all over. I haven't even had the chance to settle the score with him yet, but how can he control his heat cycles so effortlessly? I feel utterly deceived. Seems I've spoiled him too much, letting him grow this audacious. With a cold smirk, I hauled him over and dumped him right in front of Isolde. Doc Isolde, be a dear and take a look at him. Isolde froze mid-castration, rope in one hand and blade in the other, staring at me like I'd lost my mind. I only gelled pigs, not people. Everyone else at the pig farm was busy, and seeing no one was paying attention, I spoke up frankly. He's an orc. Could you please take a look at him, Dr. Isolde? Isolde's eyes lit up instantly. She dropped what she was holding and reached out to touch Vance. Vance refused, taking a step back, pinned against me with nowhere to retreat. With no other choice, Vance could only endure Isolde's fussing with a stony expression. Isolde performed pulse diagnosis while examining his eyes and tongue coating with professional precision. Truth be told, she was quite the extraordinary character. Her father was a butcher. Her mother raised pigs, while she received several years of schooling. After becoming literate, she studied medical texts extensively and took charge of castrating and treating pigs. With remarkably low mortality rates among their livestock, word spread of her skills. Soon villagers sought her expertise for poultry, dogs, and rabbits, gradually earning her the reputation as a legendary animal healer. Some mistook her for a human physician and came seeking treatment. Through these encounters, she unexpectedly mastered the art of diagnosing people, now tending to beastfolk patients. She's truly come full circle in her calling. After fumbling for a while, Isolde reached out to pull down Vance's pants. Startled, Vance desperately grabbed his belt and looked to me for help. He was no longer the white wolf who'd shamelessly show off in public. He'd learned human decency, so I stopped Isolde and asked if she'd reached any conclusions. Isolde blushed as she realized her boldness, murmuring an explanation. His heart fire burns too fiercely, with churning chi and blood. This causes emotional instability and heightened desires. I merely wished to confirm these symptoms. No offense was intended. Suddenly, I recalled her diagnosis of Kale in our past life. Excessive worry leads to heart failure and emotional instability. None of them could properly control their emotions. With the manic Zane added to the mix, I sensed something was amiss. In her past life, Isolde only identified the root cause after examining Kale's blood. With that thought, I drew the dagger I always carried and prepared to make a small cut on Vance's palm to draw blood. Vance was utterly shocked. No way. Is Alicia actually going to castrate me? Isolde also misunderstood my intentions and kept trying to stop me. Miss, I understand you might be tempted to neuter him out of sheer frustration, but we can't just go straight for the snip. There are proper procedures to follow. I found myself torn between laughter and exasperation as I clarified I merely wanted her to run a blood test. Isolde's expression cleared with sudden understanding. Such divine beauty would be wasted through castration indeed. Targeted hormonal suppression via blood work makes far more sense. Ensures a harmonious life. I quite agree, I wiped my face and sighed. Whatever, let her be. Vance was visibly moved, his gaze softening noticeably. Oh woo. I knew it. Alicia loves me too much to ever neuter me. Since when did I ever love him? What on earth is he fantasizing about day after day? Fuming with rage, I told Isolde to scan his brain while she's at it. Just kidding. To everyone's surprise, the investigation actually uncovered issues 12, though Vance's symptoms were much milder. They shared the same origin as Kale's condition. Both were poisoned. I suspect they're not isolated cases. I brought Isolde into the palace to have her examine the other beast folk, but the beast folk had been distributed by my father, some to princes and princesses, others to nobles and dignitaries, so I had to track them down one by one. My first stop was Nico's place. Though clearly delighted to see me, he put on a stern face and greeted me with sarcastic remarks. Sister, you've been back in the capital for ages. Finally remembered to visit me. Truth be told, I do feel rather guilty. I'd promised to protect him when we were children, yet I left for 10 long years. Even after returning, I was so busy training the Imperial Guards that I never visited him, but since he insists on being tsundere about it, I won't indulge him. I ruffled his hair with a mischievous grin. I came to see you. Nico's lips curled slightly as he gave an almost imperceptible shake of his head. The beast man. Nico's smirk vanished instantly as he shot me an annoyed glare, swatting my hand away. Get lost. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. Isolde couldn't suppress her laughter either. Nico's face darkened with humiliation as he glared at Isolde. Think this is funny? Isolde blinked. Hilarious. You look like a puppy. Did you just call me a dog? Nico growled through clenched teeth. No. Just like a puppy begging its owner for treats. Isolde waved her hands in explanation. Nico wouldn't listen. Insisting Isolde clarify he wasn't a dog, Isolde snapped, pulling a dagger from her boot and pressing it against Nico's waist. One more word and I'll neuter you. Nico froze instantly, not daring to move a muscle. I was startled too. Never imagined Isolde would dare bring a blade into the palace. As I reached to disarm her, Kale came barreling in and knocked me clean off my feet. He held me tight, his face brimming with nostalgia. Master, have you come to take me away? I've missed you so much. Before the words even hit the ground, Vance had already grabbed him by the scruff and flung him out. Looking to die, Kale fled. Vance pursued. The two went sprinting out of the side hall. I brushed off my clothes in disgust, only to find Nico standing there with arms crossed, watching me with amused detachment. He calls you master. That rabbit's no innocent creature. He's cunning as they come. Don't let his fragile appearance and pitiful act fool you, sis. That kind will chew you up and spit you out without a second thought. My face grew warm at the memory. Hadn't I been utterly devoured by him in my past life? Nico frowned when I didn't argue back. That rabbit can manipulate minds. The very night he arrived, he tried to make me take him to you, though I stood firm and thwarted him. He clearly has designs on you. Mark my words, sis. He'll make another move. Touched by his concern, I gave his shoulder a gentle pat. Got it, sis. Message received. But you, after all these years apart, still talking to me in that same old tone. Isolde stifled a giggle behind her hand. So it's not a puppy after all, but a little wolf cub protecting its master. Nico glared and demanded why Isolde had hidden a blade in her shoe. Isolde's eyes flickered meaningfully toward Nico's crotch. Neutering time. So you were just trying to, he stammered for ages, face flushed crimson, yet never managed to say that word. Isolde nodded with an amused smile, even gesturing with her hand. Nico froze momentarily before forcing an awkward yet polite smile. He scurried behind me with quick little steps, trying to use me as a human shield. Our game of cat and mouse was in full swing when the shadow guard abruptly appeared. My liege, Vance encountered Zane while chasing Kale in the Imperial Garden. Now all three are brawling. 13. By the time we arrived, both Vance and Zane had shifted into beast forms, locked in combat. Zane had one ear bitten off and part of his tail severed. Vance's body was covered in claw marks, his once snow-white fur now stained crimson, a pitiful sight to behold. As he dodged and weaved, Vance caught sight of me. He paused momentarily before launching into an even fiercer assault. Alicia's here. I'll show her my strength. That's how I'll make sure she always chooses me. Vance whirled around, his razor-sharp teeth sinking in and tearing a chunk of flesh from Zane's back in an instant. Yet Zane seemed impervious to pain. Growing even more frenzied as he twisted to snap at Vance's leg, Vance could have dodged it, but in that split second, his movement faltered, just enough for Zane to land a clean bite. Damn it, if not for that cursed rabbit, this tiger wouldn't have laid a finger on me. Only then did I realize Kale, standing nearby, had been manipulating the battle all along. His eyes gleamed crimson, clear evidence he was wielding his hypnotic abilities. If this keeps up, Vance is going to get hurt. Burning with anxiety, I asked Nico beside me if she could restrain Kale. Nico looked surprised. Sis, are you worried about Vance getting hurt? He's only been with you for a few months, yet you're already this protective of him. He's an orc. Different breeds can never share the same creed. Nico's tone carried that particular frustration of watching wasted potential. Vance was once someone he'd trust with his life in their past incarnation. Why this hostility now? Puzzled, I muttered evasively. Enough talk. Can you handle this or not? If not, I'm stepping in. Nico frowned and grabbed my arm to stop me. You can't risk your life like this. I've got it under control. When I sensed Kale trying to manipulate me, I fed him a lethal poison. If he disobeys, he'll die. With that, he shouted, Kale, get back here. But Kale seemed to ignore him, remaining completely still. But Serafina, watching from nearby, overheard everything. She flicked her whip impatiently. Just some orcs fooling around. Was that really worth stopping? Isolde whispered. That tiger's not right. No pain, no fatigue. If this continues, the white wolf won't last. Nico's brow furrowed as she shouted, Kale. Kale could no longer play dead, slowly turning his head, yet his crimson eyes remained unrelenting, their gaze sending waves of dizziness through those who met them, and Zane, it seemed, was also affected. His entire body shuddered before he suddenly howled at the sky. Violently breaking free from Vance's grasp and charging towards Serafina, Zane moved with lightning speed. Before Serafina could react, Zane had already knocked her to the ground. Zane, what the hell are you doing? My pupils contracted as I realized something was wrong. I tried to rush forward to stop him, but it was too late. With Serafina's horrified gaze locked on him, Zane sank his teeth into her throat in one vicious bite. Blood sprayed violently, it gushed out in thick pulses. Zane licked his lips, visibly aroused by the metallic tang of blood. Her eyes glowed an unnatural crimson as she lowered her head to devour Serafina. Serafina wasn't quite dead yet. Her head lolled weakly to the side, lips trembling soundlessly, but I saw it. Her voiceless plea, Sister, save me. After Mother's passing, the towering palace walls severed the bond between us. This was the first time in all these years she'd called me Sister when I met my end in the tiger's jaws in my past life. I truly despised her. Whatever she desired, she could have told me. We're blood sisters born of the same mother. No two souls in this world share a closer bond. But now she's gone, died right before my eyes. All that hatred with nowhere to go. What came flooding back was her tear-streaked face as a child, whispering, Sister, we've lost our mother. I have no mother now. Now, my sister is gone too. My hand hung limply at my side, fingers clenched into a white-knuckled fist. I bit my lip, snatched the dagger from Isolde's grasp, and lunged forward, slashing Zane's throat in one swift motion. Zane collapsed heavily to the ground, his mouth still working in a grotesque, reflexive chewing motion. He's completely lost control, stripped of humanity, reduced to pure animal instinct, staring at Serafina's lifeless, unblinking eyes. It suddenly dawned on me, in our past life, did Zane also lose control like this? Serafina is dead, killed by the fangs of those supposedly, absolutely loyal, beast men. 14. The Emperor, heartbroken and blaming himself, entrusted all affairs to my sole discretion. I ordered the recall of all orcs, assigning Vance to accompany Isolde for individual inspections. Nico tagged along as well. Thus I went alone to the celestial prison. Kale's locked up there. I want to ask him what really happened between him and Serafina in our past lives. Hearing my purpose, Kale looked somewhat disappointed. Alicia, knowing you've also been reborn, knowing I betrayed you in our past life, yet still daring to hope for your forgiveness, to follow you again, am I being utterly presumptuous? But I truly miss those days we spent together. But I don't miss it, just thinking about the genuine affection I once treasured, now tainted by his selfish schemes, makes me sick to my stomach. I have no interest in hearing his so-called confessions either. the damage is done. And there's no undoing it, so I cut him off mid-sentence and repeated my question in a low, firm voice. Tell me about your deal with Serafina. Kale froze, his eyes brimming with bitterness. It's not my deal with Serafina, it's the Beast Tamer Kingdom's arrangement with her. He revealed that the Beast Kingdom sent these elite beastmen as part of a secret deal struck with Serafina. In exchange, the Beast Kingdom would help Serafina ascend as crown princess and secure her position. Serafina promised to provide the kingdom with coveted resources and grant them independence once she took the throne. As for Kale's sudden collapse in his past life, it was the backlash from his refusal to continue taking the medication. He knew I'd save him, but never imagined the Beastmaster Kingdom would exploit this against me. After I retrieved the spirit herb and fell unconscious from injuries, he received orders to steal the tiger tally for Serafina and withdraw all guards. Kale said so much, yet withheld the very thing I needed to know. He's deliberately keeping secrets. Why? Puzzled, I heard Kale let out a complicated sigh, his eyes shimmering with unreadable emotions. Alicia, you should actually be thanking me. You appear strong and merciless to enemies, yet your heart is tender. You'd bare your soul even to a lowly beast folk like me. How much more for your own blood sister? I know you could never bring yourself to kill Serafina for revenge. But if you don't kill her, she'll kill you, so I took matters into my own hands first. Consider it settling your past life vendetta for you. He said it with such righteous conviction, as if murdering Serafina to avenge me was some grand favor. But did I ever ask for his help? And he's the real culprit behind all this. Rage boiling inside me, I sneered. Then shouldn't you be the first to off yourself? Kale's face darkened, his usually fragile, innocent demeanor suddenly turning sinister. Moments later, he lowered his lashes and let out an ambiguous chuckle. Not now. I didn't catch that, but he'd already clammed up. No matter how I pressed him, he refused to say another word. Then he went full possum, curling up motionless in the corner like a dead thing. I was tempted to beat the truth out of him, to turn his act into the real deal. Just then, the shadow guard suddenly appeared, reporting that the renowned healer Isolde had returned with urgent news. I had no choice but to instruct the jailer to keep a close watch on Kale before hastily departing. Isolde revealed traces of drugs in every orc system. These substances alter the orc's emotions and cognition, turning them into mindless killing machines. To break the curse, we'd need an exceptionally rare medicinal herb. I immediately ordered my shadow guard to bring forth the spirit-clearing herb. When I reincarnated on the day of orc selection, I foresaw the herb's importance. Drawing from past life memories, I mapped its location with danger zones and precautions, then dispatched shadow guards to retrieve it. Isolde looked startled but asked no questions, immediately beginning to prepare the herb. Vance stared at the spirit herb with a puzzled expression. This herb's scent, why does it feel so familiar? My heart skipped a beat as my throat tightened. Have you seen it before? I held my breath instinctively, only to see Vance shake his head after a moment's contemplation. Haven't seen it before, but it smells wonderful, just as lovely as your scent. Yet the herb was clearly odorless, which piqued my curiosity. What does it smell like to you? Vance froze, his lashes fluttering faintly as a blush crept up his ears. It's the kind of scent that makes your mouth water and tempts you to take a bite. Me, I shouldn't have asked that damn question. Isolde quickly brewed the antidote, and I initially planned to test it on Kale first. 15. Little did I know he'd already fled. That sly fox dug straight through the dungeon walls. Talk about an escape artist. Seeing my livid expression, Isolde reassured me. No need for human trials. I've already tested it with the blood of that frenzied tiger. Nico shot back defiantly. Kale may have escaped, but he won't last long. A month at most, without my antidote. His guts will rot from within. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief and began reorganizing the troops. If the Beastmaster Kingdom dares scheme behind our backs, I'll wipe them off the map. To minimize casualties, I sent Vance ahead with this batch of beastmen and the antidote. They can shape-shift into beasts for stealth, easily gaining beastmen's trust to turn them against their own. I'll make the Beast Tamer Kingdom rise and fall by the beastmen's hands, before departure. Vance grew pensive and unusually talkative. Alicia, I told you before, I was born a beast man. Natural-born beast folk are rare creatures shaped by nature's essence. Due to their reclusive nature, most dwell in remote mountains, untouched by worldly affairs. The Beast Tamer Kingdom discovered our existence by chance and began systematically capturing us. They conducted cruel experiments to mass-produce inferior beast folk, bolstering their military might. I infiltrated their kingdom to rescue my kin. but fell under the influence of mind-altering drugs. Forced to conceal my true power, I escaped by blending into a tribute caravan sent to Dajin. I'd long wondered when salvation would come, never imagined it'd arrive so soon. Alicia, thank you. I've rarely seen Vance like this, shedding his usual reckless arrogance. He spoke with solemn composure like a battle-hardened leader. No, not just like one. He is the Wolf King, the undisputed ruler of the grasslands. Him becoming my guard was just a coincidence. Once everything's settled, he'll probably leave, won't he? For some reason, the thought of that possibility left a faint ache in my chest. Vance lowered his eyes with a soft chuckle, then suddenly buried his face in the crook of my neck, nuzzling gently. Alicia, wait for me. I froze. He suddenly leaned in and kissed me, his fingers tangled in my hair, holding me firmly as he nipped at my lower lip, coaxing my mouth open with primal hunger. I was forced to tremble and sink with him. This feeling was utterly foreign to me. Long after he'd left, I remained rooted to the spot, dazed and unable to snap out of it. Nico shot me a glance and let out a heavy, disapproving sigh. My sister's grown up and won't stay forever. My mind went blank with a buzzing sound. My cheeks burned fiercely when I realized how intimately I'd been acting with Vance in public. Instinctively patting my flushed face, I scrambled to explain. Nico had already run off to find Isolde. Can humans and beast folk interbreed? Are there any side effects? Nico's questions drifted on the wind. I held my breath and pricked up my ears, but heard nothing at all. Turning around, I realized those two hadn't waited for me. They'd vanished without a trace, after mustering the troops. I led them straight into battle against the Beastmaster Kingdom. 16. Vance led the charge, persuading the orcs to defect. The oppressed orcs barely resisted. We captured city after city without losing a single soldier, but when we stormed the last stronghold, Tiger Keep, I spotted Kale among the prisoners. Vance dragged him into the command tent and threw him at my feet. This operation went so smoothly largely thanks to that rabbit, without his mind-bending abilities. The casualty count would have been much higher. Vance held nothing back, recounting Kale's actions in meticulous detail. My gaze toward Kale instantly grew more conflicted. He was at his breaking point, skin festering, body crisscrossed with bloody gashes, yet he stubbornly lifted his head to look at me, trembling as he reached out to touch me. I watched coldly, remaining utterly unmoved. A flicker of sorrow passed through Kale's eyes before his head dropped weakly. Alicia, you have no idea how much I love you. I refuse to be just a pet by your side. I want to stay with you forever. But I was bound by the Beast Tamer Kingdom and Seraphina, powerless to resist. They devised a foolproof plan to kill you, to save you. I struck a deal with Seraphina. I helped her obtain the Tiger Sigil to withdraw all guards so she could spare your life and take you away. Yet I never expected Zane to lose control. And ultimately cause your death. This was all my fault. My regret is endless, but heaven took pity and granted me a second chance. Now they're all dead. No one can harm you anymore, but I'm dying too. Alicia, won't you truly forgive me? Kale stared at me stubbornly, pleading for my forgiveness. But why on earth should I forgive him, regardless of his intentions? He's the one who left me to be devoured alive. He could have told me about the Beast Kingdom's conspiracy. If I crushed their first rebellion, I could have handled a second, but he didn't. He chose to work with Seraphina out of selfish motives. He sought to clip my wings and keep me captive by his side. His so-called love was selfish, self-serving, never for my own good. He claims remorse and seeks redemption, yet in this life he's again taken matters into his own hands and caused Seraphina's death. My own blood sister. Did he ever consider my feelings? Therefore, I refuse. Love's name alone cannot undo the harm inflicted. I turned away, unable to bear another glance at Kale. I couldn't see Kale's expression, only heard the sound of liquid dripping onto the floor, blood perhaps, or maybe tears. After a long silence, Kale murmured softly, "Master, I'm leaving now." Silence fell. I stood there for a long time. I couldn't quite name the emotions swirling inside me, a bittersweet mix of melancholy and relief. When I remained motionless, Vance had someone remove Kale's body, instructing them to give him a proper burial. I gave him a sidelong glance. See this? This is the fate of those who betray me. One act of disloyalty, and you're out for good. If you wish to remain by my side, let this be your warning. Surprise flickered in Vance's eyes. So even he thinks I'm heartless. Her fair, delicate complexion stirred protective instincts. I stood frozen in place. Oh well, I knew I was special. I've got no clue what happened between Alicia and Kale. But I'm not that dumb bunny. How could I ever betray someone and lose them like that? We werewolves are fiercely loyal. When we choose someone, it's for life. He suddenly lunged at me, pinning me to the ground as he loomed over me. What should we do next? Should we take our clothes off now? Damn it, what kind of lousy outfit is this? Why is it so hard to undo? With a forceful tug from him, my golden armor shattered instantly. I was completely stunned. Didn't he take the antidote already? Why is his mind still full of dirty thoughts? Didn't we already fix your heat cycle issue? Clutching my clothes, I flustered slightly. Vance trailed light kisses along my neck, his throat vibrating with a low chuckle. Because this isn't heat, just my instinct to love you. I tried to speak, but his lips silenced me, swallowing my words. Only muffled whimpers remained, each sound dissolved into the wind. The end. Story 2. In the apocalyptic world of extreme heat. My biased family threw me out of the house for the sake of my younger brother. Later, they fought each other bloody for a box of cooling ointment, while I comfortably ate popsicles in my space filled with supplies. Bring us some supplies right away, otherwise, don't expect your brother to help you in the future. Later, they knelt and begged me all over the world under the scorching heat, but I never showed up again. 1. Hurry up and go out to get a birthday hat and a cake. Today is your brother's birthday. My mother's long fingernails almost poked into my eyes. I looked at the weather outside and muttered, Mom, where can I find a cake now? You little wretch, are you disobeying me now? A familiar pain hit me. I covered my cheek, at a loss. My younger brother made faces at me behind my mother. Mom turned around and wiped her hands impatiently. If you can't find them, don't eat today. And don't even think about having a sip of water. I stood there, stunned. This was like a death sentence for me. A month ago, the apocalypse of extreme heat suddenly broke out. First, the city restricted electricity and water supply. Eventually, the entire society came to a standstill due to the temperature soaring to 60 or 70 degrees Celsius. Water became an extremely precious resource. Not having water to drink now was equivalent to seeking death. Gritting my teeth, I opened the door and went out to look for a cake for my brother. Along the way, I felt as if my entire body's skin was almost melting, and the soles of my shoes were burned through on the road, but for a glimmer of hope, I didn't dare to stop and kept smashing one glass door after another. Finally, I collapsed weakly among the glass shards on the ground and never got up again. At that moment, at home, everything was full of joy. My younger brother was happily celebrating his birthday, and my parents were looking at him with doting expressions. Completely forgetting that they had a daughter who had died under the scorching sun, I woke up with a start in bed, my back soaked in cold sweat. The feeling in the dream was too real, leaving me feeling lingering fear. At the same time, I also had some doubts. Were the things in the dream real? I looked around the narrow and stuffy little room, then lay back on the bed and closed my eyes. But with my mind in a mess, I couldn't fall asleep again. 2. I wasn't surprised at all by my experience in the dream. It was just because I was born into a family with extremely strong sun preference. I was left in the countryside since I was a child and wasn't brought to my parents' side until junior high school, when I was full of joy, thinking I could get close to my parents. They already had a younger brother. My parents doted on my younger brother extremely. I did housework hard every day, and the meager pocket money I managed to get was all taken away. Even my current room was converted from a toilet. Feeling annoyed, I sat up and thought carefully. Unexpectedly, I realized that there were only 3 days left before the apocalypse of extreme heat hit. My mind cleared instantly. I picked up my phone and checked my balance. Fortunately, I had worked hard at part-time jobs and secretly saved money over the years, and I had about 70,000 yuan. But with just these 70,000 yuan, could I change my fate from the previous life? Just as I was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan, suddenly a sharp pain shot through the center of my forehead. Then, a mechanical voice rang in my ear. The host has awakened, and the system space has been opened. Every time the host successfully survives for 10 days, the system space will be upgraded once. I sat on the ground, stunned, my heart pounding wildly. Unable to contain my excitement, I tried to concentrate my mind as the system said. And soon, I was transported into the system space. It was not a very large space. The temperature inside was comfortable, and I could also see the outside situation. What delighted me the most was that there was a small vegetable plot inside. This is the initial form of the system space. Please strive to survive, host, and unlock more functions. The cold mechanical voice rang in my ear again. I couldn't hold back anymore and sobbed softly. crying and laughing at the same time. Since God had given me this chance, in this life, I must strive to survive and fight for a bright future for myself. 3. I was so excited that I couldn't sleep all night. I finally fell asleep in a daze just before dawn. At 5 o'clock in the morning, my door was kicked open violently. You little wretch, you even learned to close the door. Hurry up and make breakfast for your brother. I stood there with dark circles under my eyes, silently holding the door that had only a big hole left where the lock used to be, and went to the kitchen to make breakfast for my brother. In order not to let them notice anything strange, I tried my best to suppress the smile on my lips and acted as submissive as usual. After the whole family had eaten their fill, I stood in the kitchen and quickly ate the leftovers, then started doing housework, while walking my brother to school. I sized up the surrounding houses. Since the apocalypse was about to break out, the most urgent thing was to have a place of my own. The temperature had already risen significantly recently. In most areas, the temperature was approaching 40 degrees Celsius. Most people didn't take it seriously and just complained a lot. My younger brother pushed me impatiently, pulling my thoughts back. It's so hot, where's my water? I quickly handed him the water bottle in my hand. He snorted at me with his nose in the air. You're being obedient today, so I won't tell on you to Mom and Dad. I gritted my back teeth and smiled as I watched him walk away. I kept telling myself, forget it, endure for a while and all will be well. I immediately decided on a community. It had good security, an elevator, which would be convenient for me to move supplies back and forth. I signed a 3-month contract with the landlord readily. After sending away the landlord who was smiling like a blooming flower, I immediately called a renovation team to come and modify the door of the house. By the time I was done, it was already afternoon. I looked at the extremely sturdy door with satisfaction. Then, looking at the remaining money, I started planning to buy supplies. System, what are the upgrade rewards? The space will expand, and there will be various functions. The system's answer was concise. I nodded thoughtfully. Before I could think further, the phone rang harshly. I turned off the alarm. It was time to go home and make dinner, for, as soon as I walked in the door carrying vegetables, I was grabbed by the hair and thrown to the ground. Where the hell have you been? You're so late today, my father shouted at me. I got up and silently carried the vegetables into the kitchen to cook. Your father is asking you a question. Are you deaf? My mother's sharp voice pierced my eardrums. I put on a cowardly look and replied timidly, I'm sorry, forget it. Hurry up and cook, Ian will be home soon. My mother sneered disdainfully and held back my father, who was about to lose his temper again. I washed the vegetables and cooked in silence, but in my mind, I was thinking about what supplies I needed to buy. Ouch, I wasn't paying attention and cut my finger. My younger brother came in and saw this scene. He sneered, so useless, you can't even do this right. My mother also chimed in, that's right, don't learn from your sister, Ian. You're going to get into a good university and bring honor to the family. I was speechless and continued with my work. Originally, I also had the opportunity to go to a top university, but my mother, using the excuse that it would be difficult to take care of the family, forcefully changed my college application from a top university to an ordinary second-tier university near home. That day, my head teacher came to our house and tried his best to persuade my mother, but it was all in vain. I knelt at her feet, kowtowing and crying, but all I got was being kicked to the ground by my father. After raising you for more than 10 years, this is how you repay us. From then on, I lived more and more like a walking dead. I finally came to realize that I meant nothing to them. While washing the dishes, my mother came in and casually mentioned, there's a blind date next month. You should go and have a look. I was shocked and looked up at her. My mother ignored the pain in my eyes and continued, we found the son of Dean in the village for you. Their family is willing to pay a bride price of 200,000 yuan. You've already graduated from college. It's time to get married. The bride price will be saved for your younger brother's college education. I opened my mouth, looked at the calendar, and finally nodded with resignation. My mother was surprised by my obedience today and her voice softened a bit. It's only natural for a girl to get married. Don't forget to help your brother after you're married. He's going to be successful, and our whole family will rely on him in the future. I didn't say anything. After washing the dishes, I turned and went into my room. Finally, the lights in my parents' room went out. I quickly got up quietly, picked up a pen and paper by the light of my phone, and started planning how to allocate the supplies. Suddenly, a voice came from behind me. What are you doing? 5. I looked up in horror and saw my father standing at the door of the room, looking at me with a probing expression. Even in the dark, I broke out in a cold sweat, making a plan for the blind date. I replied timidly, "I'm afraid I'll embarrass our family in front of Uncle Dean, so I'm making preparations in advance." My father seemed very satisfied with my answer. He hummed a tune and went to bed in a good mood. I wiped the sweat from my forehead and continued writing vigorously. The next day, after seeing my brother off, I hurried to the house. I sold the things I didn't need one by one in second-hand trading groups, and then went to the supermarket downstairs to start buying according to the list. Rice and flour were not only troublesome to store but also required fuel and water to be made into edible food, so I didn't buy flour. Instead, I bought more than a dozen boxes of various types of noodles and pasta, as well as 100 gin of ready-to-cook rice and various grains. I also bought a lot of meat cans with extremely long shelf lives. Protein was also essential, so I added several boxes of freeze-dried fruits and vegetables. This would be enough to maintain a balanced diet for most of the time during the apocalypse. I bought a total of 100 boxes of various instant foods, seasonings, hot pot bases, meatballs, dried sausages, etc. I also bought some chocolates, sweet rice porridge, and other items in small quantities. Not knowing when the apocalypse would end, I bought enough supplies for a year, considering that the temperature in the space was suitable and I should be able to cultivate vegetables. I also bought some easy-to-grow vegetables and fruits. When no one was around, I quietly moved the fruits and vegetables into the space. As for water, it was much simpler. I bought dozens of cases of bottled mineral water, dozens of large barrels of mineral water, and dozens of large water storage barrels, as well as some water purification tablets. I could fill them with tap water for later use. Just then, the second-hand buyers came. After selling all the unnecessary furniture in the house, I got another sum of money. Gritting my teeth, I bought another 10-odd cases of beverages and 2 cases of popsicles. At the beginning of the apocalypse, the power supply wouldn't be cut off immediately, so I could enjoy them occasionally. Next, I bought some bed sheets, pillowcases, toiletries, and more than a dozen cases of wet wipes, which could be used to wipe my body. I moved most of the supplies into the space and only left a small part in the house for emergency use. I was so tired that I was covered in sweat. Lying in the space, I didn't want to move at all. Today, the temperature reached over 40 degrees Celsius and showed a trend of breaking through 45 degrees Celsius. More and more people were suffering from heatstroke. Wherever there was air conditioning, there would be a group of sweaty people crowded underneath, greedily sucking in the cool air. I got up and bought 2 silent generators, some cooling ointment, Huixiang Zhengqi oral liquid, etc., looking at the almost empty shelves. I thought for a while and took a box of cooling ointment with me. There was still some money left. I thought for a while and bought a hidden surveillance camera and a new mobile phone. My old phone was an outdated model that could only be used for making payments and nothing else. After buying all these things, I looked up and realized it was already very late. I quickly bought some wilted vegetable leaves that had been there for a long time and went home. 6. Look at what you bought. Is this even edible? My mother threw the vegetable leaves on the ground in disgust and shouted at me. I lowered my head and pretended to be at a loss. It's too hot, there's no fresh vegetables left. On the other hand, my father was frowning as he watched the news. According to the meteorological station's forecast, the temperature in our city will gradually rise within the next week. The highest temperature will exceed 50 degrees Celsius. Please take protective measures, residents. Seeing this, I took out the cooling ointment I bought today. Mom, calm down. I specially bought this cooling ointment for you to relieve the heat. My mother slapped the box of cooling ointment away in disgust. What cheap stuff, I don't want it. My younger brother, on the other hand, was happily scrolling through his phone. Ha ha ha, with such a high temperature, I won't have to go to school soon. But then, his smile faded. The community supermarket issued a notice, due to the extreme heat. The community supermarket will be closed for a few days after tomorrow. Please buy what you need as soon as possible. Looking at the boiling chat group, my father couldn't sit still. He looked at the empty house and was a little anxious, but my mother said calmly, "It's okay, don't we still have that good for nothing? Give her some money tomorrow and ask her to buy supplies for us." I nodded timidly. After making dinner, I quickly went into my room, packed some clothes into the space. After they all fell asleep, I found a hidden place and installed the surveillance camera. Lying on the small bed, I tugged at my sweat-soaked clothes, tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep. So, I simply hid in the space and fell into a deep sleep, unexpectedly. At 4 o'clock in the morning, the blinding sunlight had already shone through the curtains into the room, but I didn't notice it at all. The door was kicked open as usual. My mother looked around the room in confusion. "Where's that little wretch?" I was awakened by the loud noise. Looking at the situation outside, I broke out in a cold sweat. I quickly splashed some water on myself and opened the door from the inside of the toilet. "Mom, I'm here. You scared me early in the morning." My mother scolded me angrily, looking at her wet clothes and dark circles under her eyes. I knew she hadn't slept well and was taking it out on me. "Here's 100 yuan, go buy some supplies," with the sound of a transfer. I looked at the 100 yuan speechlessly. "Mom, what can I buy with this little money? You stupid, there are so many people buying. Why don't you take more while no one's looking?" I changed my clothes and went out. Before 5 o'clock, the air was already as hot as thick, unmelting sugar water, sticking tightly to my skin. There was already a long line in front of the supermarket. In the previous life, my mother also said the same thing to me. It was ridiculous. I actually listened to her nonsense and was caught by the angry crowd and beaten up severely, and my mother stood out and played the good guy, accusing me of not thinking about others and being a selfish person. I sneered in my heart, "Let's see how long you can last without me this time." The three of them waited anxiously at home for a long time, but only a few boxes of water and 2 boxes of instant noodles appeared in front of them. "I don't like this flavor." My younger brother frowned and kicked the box of instant noodles with his foot. My mother pointed at me and questioned, "Didn't I tell you to take more? Why is there only so little?" "Mom, it's too noticeable to carry too many things at once. I'll bring them up in batches. Wait for me." Before my mother's sharp voice could come again, I slipped away as fast as I could. The temperature today has reached 47 degrees Celsius. The sun is beating down on my skin, and soon, my skin starts to turn red. I push through the crowd scrambling for supplies and return to the rented house. It's so hot, it feels like every pore is blocked by the heat, and it seems that there are burning coals in my throat. I quickly drink a bottle of water and sit on the ground to recover for a long time. Although I've installed a sturdy door, I still can't believe it's completely safe. I leave a little supplies in the house and put the rest into the space. I lie down leisurely, turn on the monitor, and watch the 3 fidgety people. Why hasn't she come back yet? She's been gone so long. My father keeps looking at his watch, frowns, and slaps the table. Could she have run away? I'll give her a call. My mother also looks restless. My younger brother shouts beside them, "I don't want to eat this flavor. I want the most expensive one." "Okay, Ian, stop making a fuss. Your sister will bring it back for you later." My mother soothes my younger brother softly, before she can dial my number. There is a knock on the door. "Is this room 502? Someone reported that you didn't pay for the things you bought." My father opens the door. Outside are impatient staff members and an angry mob of neighbors. 8. "How dare you steal things in such an emergency?" Behind the staff, a burly man squeezes in and points at my parents, shouting angrily. My mother immediately puts on an obsequious smile and tries to smooth things over. "How could we not pay? It was all that little wretch's negligence in our family. I'll call her back right away to apologize to everyone." Aunt Giselle next door pokes her head out, spits on the polished floor disdainfully. "I know exactly how you treat your daughter. Don't think I don't, and you're still shifting the blame onto her at this point." "That's right, since you didn't pay, we'll have to take the things away," the burly man says viciously and reaches out to move the things on the ground. "Hey, what are you doing?" My father gets anxious and reaches out to grab the things, but he is pushed away and falls to the ground. "Bullying people, robbery, isn't there anyone to stop this?" My mother sits down on the ground and starts crying and wailing. But this time, no one pays attention to her act, even when she shouts herself hoarse. She can't stop the things from being taken away. "Look at the child you gave birth to." After the neighbors have all left, my father, who was pretending to be timid on the ground just now, jumps up and slaps my mother hard. "It's all that bitch's fault." My mother grits her teeth and calls me, only to find that she can't get through. "Honey, what should we do now?" Listening to the busy tone, my mother is completely panicked. "Ian, stay home. Your mother and I are going out to buy some things." My father curses and takes my mother out. Watching this farce, I happily turn over in the space and take out a popsicle to eat. It takes a long time for them to come back. They sit on the ground, disheveled and gasping for breath, like 2 mangy dogs. All they manage to grab are a few boxes of water and some boxes of instant noodles. My mother doesn't give up and keeps calling me, finally. After hearing, the number you dialed is temporarily unavailable, for the 10th time, she goes crazy and sends me several messages. Where the hell are you, bitch, if you have the guts, never come back. 9. Today, the apocalypse of extreme heat has fully erupted. The temperature soars to an unimaginable 60 degrees Celsius. Some people collapse to the ground and then jump up as if electrocuted, with a string of blisters already burned on their backs. I leisurely loosen the soil in the small vegetable plot, listen to music, and occasionally watch the miserable state of that family. I feel extremely delighted, but soon, people can't sit still. Some people whose supplies have run out search from house to house, hoping for a miracle. Before long, I hear the sound of the door being pried open. Seeing that the door is strong, those people start with the windows. Soon, the windows of the rented house are smashed, and the little supplies left at home are all taken away. Looking at the chaotic scene in the house, I secretly heave a sigh of relief. Now this house seems to have no value at all, and it's actually safer to enter and exit the space from here. Ding, ding, congratulations, host, you have survived for 10 days, and the space is about to be upgraded. The scene in front of me blurs. I watch in surprise as a small house appears, and there is a small pond next to it. When I open the door, everything inside is complete, and there are also a lot of supplies like rice, flour, cooking oil, etc. The space is upgraded, and electricity is now available. I happily throw myself onto the double bed and roll around. Whether in the previous life or this life, I've never slept on such a big bed. To celebrate, I work hard in the kitchen. Soon, the aroma of delicious food wafts out. Satisfied, I burp and start browsing my phone. Unexpectedly, I see a striking piece of news. The community supermarket has been stolen, and the thieves are my parents. 10. It turns out that my younger brother can no longer stand eating instant noodles every day. He has been making a huge fuss at home, and in the end, he even beats and kicks my parents. Helpless, my parents steal from the community supermarket under the cover of night. I look at the messages my mother sent me. The house is filled with goods. Little wretch, didn't expect us to do so well, did you? Even if you come back and kneel to beg us, we won't share any with you. I roll my eyes and close the chat interface. They are still as selfish and stupid as ever. Sure enough, when I turn on the monitor the next day, I find my father lying at home with a bruised face, and my mother is disheveled and listless. I didn't expect them to be robbed so soon. I curiously rewind the monitor. I thought my parents were just a bit selfish, but I didn't expect that they took all the remaining supplies from the supermarket back home under the cover of night. Now they've really angered everyone. Many neighbors come to their door demanding an explanation. When my parents try to be unreasonable, they are directly beaten down by the angry neighbors, and they don't manage to keep the supplies. And my dear younger brother keeps complaining non-stop about how incompetent my parents are and even takes his anger out on them. At this time, my phone receives another message from my mother. Diana, where are you? Come back quickly. Mom and Dad know we were wrong. We really can't do without you. I can't help but laugh heartily. As I laugh, tears stream down my face. They have reaped the bitter fruit they sowed themselves. With a bit of mischief, I take a photo of the supplies and send it to them. I watch as my parents in the monitor jump up immediately, their faces filled with endless greed. Diana, where are you? Come back quickly. Otherwise, don't blame us for cutting off relations with you. Sis, come back. I look at the popping up messages and stop replying, but they still don't give up. Diana, tell us where you are. I'll come find you. Sis, save me. I promise I won't tell anyone that you have food and water. I sneer, turn off my phone, and focus on growing vegetables. 11. The temperature gets hotter and hotter. Today, it has reached 65 degrees Celsius. The ground has dried up and cracked. The community chat group has been silent for a long time. Looking outside, hardly anyone is moving around. Sometimes, I secretly leave some supplies in front of the doors of my old neighbors at night, not for anything else, but to repay them for their help all along. Seeing the well-off neighbors, my parents are so jealous that their eyes turn red, but because of the fierce-looking people across the way, they don't dare to act. They harass me desperately every day. Finally, without supplies, they can't hold on anymore. One day, a video suddenly appears in the community chat group. I click to watch it, and it turns out to be my younger brother and mother. In the video, my younger brother waves his fists wildly, hitting my mother again and again. Useless, you can't find supplies. What good are you? My mother lies on the ground lifelessly. Her dry and cracked lips twitch, and she tightly holds something in her hand. Later, after venting his anger, my younger brother pries open her hand and takes out the thing inside. I take a closer look and find it's the cooling ointment I bought for her before. My father also appears in the video. He looks at my motionless mother in horror, then follows my younger brother with a hunched back. I turn off my phone and take a moment to calm down. My younger brother has completely gone crazy now, and I don't know what else he might do. I decide to reduce the frequency of going out to deliver supplies recently to prevent him from finding me. These days, the space has been upgraded again. Not only are there more supplies, but I also get a little dog. I name it Hope, hoping that the apocalypse will end soon. During this time, I grow vegetables and take care of the dog, enjoying myself outside. The water and electricity supplies have almost completely stopped. My phone gradually stops receiving messages, with only intermittent signals. After a day of work, I lie down holding Hope. Suddenly, my phone vibrates twice, and a message comes in. It's from my younger brother. I'll find you. 12. I don't take it seriously. The next second, a message from the monitor comes in. Frowning, I open the monitor. I was in such a hurry before that the monitor I bought isn't of good quality, so I haven't received any images for a long time. I didn't expect it could still send me a message. When I open the image, my face changes. I see my father lying on the ground, seemingly oblivious to the danger. His body is covered with large patches of burns. My younger brother squats beside him and says viciously, "This is the punishment for not finding supplies today." My father moves his lips as if he wants to say something, but my younger brother slaps him. Useless. You can't even find Diana. Where the hell could she be hiding? I'm shocked. I didn't expect they are still persistently looking for me, but I just haven't received any news. My father stops moving completely. My younger brother seems to notice this. He curses harshly, and then at night, he goes out under the cover of darkness. I put down my phone and feel a bit dazed for a moment, sensing my low mood. Hope puts its fluffy head in my hand and gently nuzzles me, unexpectedly. This pathetic couple meets such an end. They die at the hands of the son they doted on so much. I rub my eyes, stand up, and look outside through the space. It has been 2 months since the start of the apocalypse. During this time, there are occasional airdrops. The survivors are like hungry wolves seeing meat, scrambling for them regardless of anything. Sometimes, after the airdrops, some bodies are left behind. The next day, even the bodies disappear without a trace. There haven't been any airdrops recently. The whole community is. During this time, I often wake up startled, looking at the successive groups of survivors outside the house. I've gone from being terrified to becoming numb. Even though I have an endless supply of materials, I still dare not share them openly. I don't dare to bet on human nature with my safety. The only thing I can do is quietly help some neighbors and do what I can. And now, it's a luxury just to see another person. 13. Another month passes, and the space is upgraded a lot again. Now I can occasionally listen to the outside world through the radio given by the space. One day, a military truck drives into the community. Many people get off the truck. The leader holds a loudspeaker and shouts, "Survivors, we are from Base No. 9527. With the approval of the organization, we've come to take you to the heat-resistant base to live. Please bring your essentials. We'll set off in half an hour, soon." Cheers break out in the community. Many survivors run out and crowd around the man, asking questions excitedly. Although they are so hungry that they can barely walk, there is a glimmer of hope in everyone's eyes. My eyes well up with tears. I'm deeply moved by the tenacity of humanity. Just as I'm hesitating whether to go with them, I suddenly see someone get off the truck. It's my younger brother. Why is he there? I'm suspicious and uncertain, and start to have doubts. Sure enough, in response to the survivors' questions, the leader just prevaricates. Soon, some people sense something is wrong, quietly step back, and hide in their houses. You found out. The people who get off the truck all show cruel smiles. They stab their knives into the bellies of the survivors in front of them, and then enter the community to rob supplies from house to house. Then, with the meager supplies left by the survivors, they prepare to drive away, but they underestimate the will to survive. The survivors whose supplies have been robbed can no longer bear it. Someone raises their voice, and the remaining people rush forward, fighting them desperately. In the end, both sides suffer heavy losses, but most of the survivors manage to get their supplies back, and none of the scammers can get back up. I look at my younger brother lying on the ground. He is gasping for breath. his eyes filled with viciousness. He tries to get up, but he doesn't even have the strength to move his fingers. Soon, he loses his breath under the blazing sun. Several more months passed. I picked a potato and a corn, planning to roast them. When I opened my phone to check the calendar, I realized that half a year had already gone by. Ding, ding, the system space has been fully upgraded. Hearing the mechanical voice, I was stunned. I called out to the system for a long time, but it never showed up again. I sat down again, beside Hope. The two of us, a person and a dog, silently stared at the crackling fire in front of us. But, with just these 70,000 yuan, could I change my fate from the previous life? I believe that as long as there is a sign of the temperature dropping, there will come a day when it returns to normal. During this period, several real rescue teams passed by, but I still chose to stay in the space. I had enough supplies to sustain my life, and life in the space was much more carefree than in the base. The only drawback was that it was extremely boring. The vegetables I planted gradually started to sprout. I used the water from the pond in front of the small house, and there was more than enough. The potato and corn were roasted. I shared them equally with Hope and began to eat them slowly. Not long after, good news came from the radio. Suddenly, thick clouds gathered over the city. Last night, the first rain in half a year fell. The temperature gradually dropped to 50 degrees Celsius. And the government immediately carried out artificial rainfall. I watched as large raindrops hit the ground, bringing with them a refreshing smell. 2 more months passed, and the temperature gradually returned to below 40 degrees Celsius. Everything was slowly returning to the way it was before the apocalypse began. 15. The apocalypse was over. People gradually returned to their hometowns and started the reconstruction work. One day, I received a phone call. "Hello, is this Miss Diana? Your parents owned 3 houses, but they were all damaged during the apocalyptic heat. As their only heir, when would you like to come and discuss the subsequent compensation?" I looked at my wallet, which had become empty due to the apocalypse, made an appointment with the person on the phone, and then hung up. Unexpectedly, my parents had lived frugally and left 2 houses for my younger brother. However, all their efforts were in vain. In the end, these 3 houses still belonged to me. I picked up Hope and spun around a few times, as if it understood my mood. Hope circled around me and happily jumped onto my knees. A few more years passed, and the impact of the apocalypse had almost disappeared. I sat in my apartment, watching TV with Hope. Over the years, I took the postgraduate entrance exam and returned to the prestigious university I had always dreamed of. After graduating with a master's degree, I chose to stay at the university as a teacher. I used part of the compensation money to donate to mountainous areas, helping girls from families with son preference go to school and change their destinies. Now, my home is filled with the award certificates and thank you letters sent by those girls. I opened the curtains and looked at the bustling streets. For a moment, it felt as if everything that had happened before was just a dream. My life was just getting on the right track.